On the second part of the Xtool S1 review, I'm going to show you how you can set up both Xtool's creative spaces or Lightburn to operate this laser. Let's go. So if you didn't join us before, you can go and check out this unboxing about the Xtool S1. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to set up both the Xtool Creative Space, which is the generic software that comes with this laser, or Lightburn, which is the laser software that we tend to use here on the laser live stream. I'm going to show you how to set up both, and we're going to emulate the same project and show you how both of those can be utilized running this laser. Right now it's a bit of a cold day where I'm at, so I'm going to head inside and I'm going to show you how to set up from scratch Xtool Creative Space and Lightburn, and then we're going to come out, create those projects, and then run them right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sit in my office and set up the first job with the Xtool Creative Space. This is the generic software that comes with the Xtool S1. There's lots of people raving about it. A lot of people claiming that this is as good or better than Lightburn. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the very first job so I can walk you through it. And we're also going to do the same thing a little bit later on in Lightburn. This is the first time that I've used this. I do all my tutorials this way. I want to run into the same problems that a first-person user will run into. The very first thing that I noticed here is that this software, looking at some of the extra features that come with Xtool, it says that it's the Xtool F1. Now that will change once I connect to the S1, but if you're away, if you happen to be elsewhere and you would like to change this, the fastest way that I've found after doing some digging is by actually going into the Xtool projects. And this is a online site. It's a little bit like Thingiverse or some of those 3D printed repositories. This allows you to take a look at some of the projects and share them with other people, which I know has become a big feature when it comes to home lasering. Lots of people love to get free projects and monetize them and learn from them. So what I ended up doing, or what I'm going to do in this case, is I'm going to go to the Xtool S1 project. So let's try this one. See, it says here open in XCS, which is the file type for Xtool Creative Space. And as this loads in, keep your eye on here. It is now changed to the Xtool S1. So the workable area space here is the S1. Of course, you can just connect it straight up to your machine, but since it's a cold day and the machine happens to be in the garage, I'm going to set up my first job here, take it out there, and we'll cut it and look at what's going on. You've got some options here. These are just obviously your general setup. In here, it says new, so I'm going to hit new because I want a new job. And you can see here, again, we are basically Xtool S1. Great. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I do with most of the machines that I test on this channel, is I'm going to create a little bit of a plaque and start looking at some of the features. A lot of this stuff does similar job to Lightburn. Your text is here. Normally in Lightburn, you kind of go in there and change it. You've got to just change it here. So let's go hello world. You can change your sizing in the box, or just like other software, you can just kind of grab it, drag and drop. So we've got that going. When you select it, it pops up these settings. Obviously that's delta text. So if you want to align it back, forward, or in the middle, you can do that. You can change the type. And I'm assuming that it's going to take any, these are all the fonts that I have on my computer. You can weld it together, so if these happen to be touching, and you can change some of the spacing just by punching in different things. So it's a little bit too close. Let's do that and weld it together. And you can see here now that the text is actually one piece, which is a very common job that you want to do when you want to make letters and have them all connected. But it does take away that ability to change. Once you've welded it together, you can't really do anything except for going back by hitting that undo button that's right here. So again, same kind of process to a certain degree. I know the weld function It works a little bit differently in other software, but it is still here. So we've got it on 0. Obviously, this is my cutting area on the mat. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Let's bring in a image. I'm going to use the Xtool font. It's kind of nice. Just drop it in, just like everything else. Let's select it. Now, what's interesting here is we have different layers. I'm going to move this to a new layer. I'm going to move this to the red layer. And I can also label it. Same functionality, just a little bit different layout than what most people will be used to. So let's go logo. Call this one text. Again, I'm doing this pretty much for the first time, but at the same time, kind of understanding what needs to be done. Move that up. We'll put that under there. Xtool. Over here on the screen, we have different outputs for the, I guess they're calling it object. So this is an image. We can filter it. We can make it black and white. We can make it a sketch. We can turn it into a comic. Obviously, that's not going to work the way we want. Second one, emboss. Emboss looks interesting. Black and white. We're going to leave it black and white. We can change the grayscale of it. I guess in black and white it's not going to work, but let's see if we can do that with the original. Sharpness, which is interesting in that sense. Zoom in a bit, and we can of course invert the image. So if you're working on a dark background, we can do it that way. Also has an image edit, which is interesting. So we can obviously edit the image, and we can remove different bits and pieces that way. What's this tool here? This is the eraser. This is the crop. Oh, let's try the crop, because I was looking at that just before. I thought to myself, that's a really big box. Let's save that. Yeah, I like that. I do. Again, nothing that we can't do in a few steps in Lightburn, but still, you can see the functionality here. Let's grab another text box, move it down here. We're going to call this creative space, because that's what we're working with. On this level, it's on the logo. We're going to turn it back to text. I'm actually going to need to move it too. And by selecting this, let's go back and take a look at some of the options here. So we can score it, we can engrave it, or we can cut it. Let's engrave it. I want to do that to the other one too. So we can't obviously change everything on that layer. But that's okay. Let's engrave it there too. So we've got an engraved process. We're doing okay so far, and I want to insert a box because I want to make this as a plaque. So all I did was grab it. I actually want to, now if I engrave it, it's a bit of a problem. So they're calling it score or cut. Now I know how I do this in Lightburn. I'm going to try this natively here on Xtool Creative Spaces. So I'm going to go with that score, but I'm also kind of want to put a bit of a bracket around it. So I usually do that with a tool called Outline, which is just here. And there's your offset. So you can change your offset a bit. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. It's given me those corners. I wonder if I can change options with that, and I can't. Okay, that's interesting. And on this one, I want to cut it. So what I've actually got here. And it's interesting to see how this works, because this is also on the layer text, which means I need to grab another layer, and I want to call this borders. So this is the first real change that I can see with these things compared to Lightburn, is that the layers are literally just within the creative space. Nothing to do with the control, which is a little bit different. It's not a problem, just different. And I can see why people can see this, but I can, as being kind of an answer to using Lightburn. But from what I can see as well, there's a few other things that we can kind of do. You can select everything, but I also notice you can do it the other way around. So things are pretty native that way. We now have it as a group, which means everything will scale as we need to. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to just put that in the corner here. And that, my friends, is pretty much that first job done. We're going to go take it outside. We're going to hook up the Xtool S1. we have yet to do anything with the settings on this. I'm gonna actually, I just realized before I go out, let's ungroup this again because it doesn't like it. But here we have a whole bunch of manual settings. We have, I don't know if I've got internet outside, but what I realize is I'm gonna have to dial in some power settings for all of this sort of stuff unless I can pull it down. And again, normally I would just go to my library in Lightburn. That is not an option here. I'm not terribly afraid with it, but we're gonna do that first cut and see what happens. I do have the 20 watts, so I have an idea of where these settings should be. Let's save the job. We'll save it as first process on the S1, and that's ready to go. Actually, just before, I don't know about you guys, I get a little pedantic on this sort of stuff, so I'm just gonna move that up just a tad, so we have, and tad's a very technical thing, so let's go save it again, and let's go outside. So we're ready to run the first job in Xtool's Creative Spaces. I'm using some laser ply. This is just 3mm poplar wood that we're gonna put in. Now, when Xtool sent me this laser, they sent me the 20-watt version, and I don't have a honeycomb base, so I'm going to use the basic spaces that I reviewed in the previous video. We're going to place this wood in, set up the job, and see how those results come out using the Xtool Creative Spaces software that comes with this laser. Let's do it. And there you have it. You have our very first cut set up in Xtool's Creative Space using Xtool's S1 laser machine. I've got the product right here, and very, very easy to get a result out of that quite quickly. So there was a little bit of a confusion at the beginning because I didn't know how to set the distance for the material. And just by checking some of the functionality in that software, I was able to work out how to do that. So the very first time I did run this, the focus was way too high. I can see that this machine is basically set up for people entering the laser world, not wanting to learn anything about it, from setting up speeds and settings. If you want to stay with material within Xtool's ecosystem, absolutely no problem. You can definitely do that. I'm going to do the same job now in Lightburn and see what the results are like. So let's go do that now. What I really like about this machine is you have a choice. You can use the Xtool Creative Space or you can use Lightburn. As you know on my channel, I'm a great fan of Lightburn. This is probably what I'm going to use the most, but you do have some extra steps. And it's just one small step that Xtool has helped by setting up a web page with everything that you need to be able to go and set up Lightburn to talk to the Xtool S1. If you happen to have a copy of Lightburn, which I already have, what you can do is you can navigate to this page. I'm going to put the link in the description, and it talks you through how to link Lightburn with the necessary setup so that it talks to your Xtool S1. And to do that, we just need to download this file here. It'll download and put it straight into your download area. and I'm going to walk you through it right now. Now, I use Lightburn for a number of lasers, so if you only use it for one, or this is your first time in, down in the laser control pad right here, you have options under devices. You can see here I have a number of lasers already set up. We need to link the S1 into that device setup. So I'm going to hit this devices right here, and I'm going to go to import, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to import a whole lot of settings, and I'm going to grab, I have 2 copies here. I downloaded a number of copies before, but I'm going to grab just one of them and bring it in, and you can see here it's already downloaded all the settings needed for the Xtool machine. I don't need to do anything else. I'm just going to hit OK. Now that it is integrated into Lightburn, all I need to do is hit this pop-up, and you can see that the Xtool S1 is down there, and I can see that as well up here where it tells me it's the Xtool S1. So this work area is now going to reflect the work area within the Xtool S1 machine. It's a mouthful. I'm gonna stop myself sometimes not saying the wrong thing. Now that that's all set up, that one simple step. So if you want to go back here, you can actually follow through and do exactly what I've done, with some extra information there on how Lightburn will react and basically work with the S1. All right, now since we've got that all done, let's go and make our plaque. Let's do it exactly the same way we did before. So hello world. And I'm actually going to, I can't remember what font I used, but let's see if we can, I think it was Bubble, wasn't it? It was Bubblegum Sands, there you go. I'm gonna hit, I'm just gonna increase that a little bit. I like working big and then shrinking stuff down. We're gonna grab the graphic, which is just hidden behind there. I'm just gonna pop it in here. And again, there you go. And you can see here, this graphic is the same way. If I want to shrink that down, I can do that. Obviously, they've got the crop method. I'm going to just do that here in a very quick way by grabbing a triangle and then selecting both things like that. If I right click, I can apply the mask to the image. And I'm going to flatten the image. And I now have a much smaller selection. So that was a few steps, and I could make that a little bit tighter if I wanted to, but you know, we're emulating the same thing. So hello world, Xtool. And let's put down what we're doing here. So this is Lightburn, and we'll put in 1.5.06, which is the latest version. You might be, if you're watching this and the version's different, don't worry about that. This just happens to be what I'm using today, which I believe is the latest version. I'm going to change that out to Arial. Shrink that down a little bit. I'm going to line this up. I could have done this in the other one. I didn't. I apologize, but I'm just lining that up using some of the tools. Now I'm going to grab my box, which I just did. So this is now a line. I'm going to use the offset. Now the offset there is 5. I think it was 2 last time. Let's do that outwards. And I have options to change the bevel or the corners. I was trying to find that the other tool set in Creative Space. I wasn't too sure exactly how to do that, but you can see here, if you wanted straight corners, you can do that, or you can bevel them. I'm going to leave them beveled so it's the same. And I have now created, by grouping this, I have now created the same task, which is kind of interesting. What I do need to do here is I need to put operations onto this project, and the layers and the cuts in Lightburn work a little bit differently, but that's okay. I'm just going to quickly ungroup them because it makes it a little easier. And in here, we don't have, see, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we have such a large area around the graphic. When you start selecting things, it can be a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to just clean that up just a little bit. And I tend to do this with most of the graphics that I bring in if they do have such a large area. A little bit better. Thank you. And again, all I'm going to do is apply the mask and then crush that mask by flattening the image. If you're interested in this, I have a tutorial that will be linked in the corner here that walks through all the different options on how to do that. I find it makes it a lot easier when you're working with graphics especially, that you're able to just come in and fine tune your ability to select things. And again, we could do this by zooming in as well, but now I have no problems. The area for this graphic is now no longer over the top of the letters, so I'm not gonna have a problem with that. It just makes it a lot faster when you're working on things. Now that I've separated it from a group, I can start assigning jobs to the different layers, just like I did earlier. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select it. I like to personally use 0, or 01 for engraves or images. And I also like using 02 for cuts. So let's start the other way around. Let's start doing a cut here. Now, unfortunately, I don't know the settings for the S1 off the top of my head, but I have a roundabout idea where it's going to go. But I do know it's going to be a line, and I know that the speed and power is going to be pretty high. So I'm going to I like running diode machines at 100%. If they're designed properly, they have a bit of a cutoff. I know there's a lot of talk about that. I'm just going to put this at 200. At this point, I'm obviously going to go out there and run a test beforehand, but to me that may be something that works fine. I'm going to check that with the laser before I run this job. The second one is going to be an engrave, and I like putting that as blue. And in here, that's a fill, so I'm going to change that to a line. I tend to halve my power for an engrave. I don't want it to go all the way through, but let's leave that 200. Now, this is a 20 watt, so I do need to play around with it. Just letting you guys know what I'm doing here. And in here, that's engraved, so it's just going to create a line coming around, but I backed off the power, so that's where I'm actually going to change it to the black 00 as a line, and in here, I'm actually going to change that to a fill. So let's temporarily put in some settings here, and let's do that. The image is a separate, so I run out. I'm going to put that on green just for the sake that we know, and I'm going to leave power at 40. Now, do not use these settings. Do not use them. I'm using them just basically as a guide for what I'm going to do once I'm outside of the machine and hooked up. But I will just preview that job so that we can see what's going on. And I tend to do this every time because I want to actually work the process out beforehand. You can actually save quite a bit of time. So you can see here, it's now obviously doing those fills. I'd like it to do, now it's obviously cutting it out. I don't want to do that. So all I need to do is I'm going to hit OK. This image, I'm going to put it in between, sandwich it there. But also what I want to do is I want to make sure that the outer line, you can see here, is being cut first. I don't want that to happen. I want it to stay attached as long as possible. So I'm going to move that up as well. And again, this gives me a lot of control to be able to run the machine in the best workflow that I know that works for me. I don't want to cut that outer layer first because if anything, the air assist or something moves it or someone bumps the machine, I want that to be my last process. So if I slide this back and just hit the play, I'll just slow that down a little bit. Again, something that I really like that Lightburn does is it'll do the simulation. We'll just make that a little bit faster. And then you can see it does the inner, which is just a score as such because of the power difference, and then a cut. Great. That emulates exactly what we were going to do on the other piece of software. All we need to do now, group it by hitting the group function here. We're going to scale it down a bit, put it in the corner, home it, place it in the corner here. And now we're going to go and take it out to the Xtool S1 and see what the results are. So in the end, I have two results, both of them very, very similar. One that worked out of the box without a problem, but limited to what I could actually do. The other one, the only issue that I had with it was basically guessing the settings for this laser unit. So let me know if you are interested in using Lightburn with this machine. I'm planning to make my own library of materials and cut settings specifically for the S1 20 watt, because that's what I've got and that's what I'm going to work with. I'm actually really happy with both of these things. So if someone new coming in, this is their very first laser, they're going to probably say to me, Gil, I'm going to go with Creative Space. I saw what you did, came out perfect kind of the first time. They may go, you were struggling a little bit with Lightburn. To be honest, I don't really believe both of those things are wrong or right, because the Creative Space, at least from what I've been able to see, can't do some of the advanced settings yet that Lightburn can, while Lightburn has a lot more flexibility on what it's able to do. Now, I did have to do this twice, again, only because of human error, meaning the settings that I had were basically guessing and eyeballing based on other laser units around this level. You know, I've got something that works on both of them, straight out of the box. What I didn't want to do was go and run this job multiple times and say to you, hey, you know what? It worked first time, because you're going to run into the same issues. I know that Lightburn's working to incorporate some of the more advanced functionality for the S1 into a Lightburn itself. So I'm looking forward to being able to do some of the three-dimensional geometry natively in Lightburn, which right now the Creative Space stuff can only do. My final thoughts on this machine is that you don't have to choose one or the other. You can actually have the best of both worlds. What's interesting about this is that you can stay with, let's say, Xtool's Creative Space, learn and create those projects that you want, and then when you need to, jump over to Lightburn and be able to use the more advanced features. And when it comes to laser work, personally, and this is just my personal preference, I want to understand the process so I can get the best out of the workflow and the best out of the equipment that I'm using. That's something that I can't really see happening with Xtool's Creative Spaces just yet. Kind of instinctively, and given the experience that a lot of people have on Lightburn, I'm able to create jobs in Lightburn incredibly quickly, and I'm able to work out that workflow in a way that works for me in the very best way possible. That could be due to the equipment, that could be due to the job that you're doing, or the process that you need to complete that job. The S1 seems to have a little bit of that flexibility. I'm going to go deeper into this in my next video, where I'm going to really push this machine hard. So join me here on the Laser live stream while I go take a deep dive into the S1, look at everything that it can do, and answer that question, is this the right machine for you? Until then, stay safe, check out some of these videos right here, and we will be back very soon. And until then, go and create something amazing.